Sean Figgins leads it off, and here we go. Porcello's first pitch is outside of the strike zone, 1-0. 71 is our game time temp. It feels a little bit warmer than that. It's a little bit humid today at the ballpark. The 1-0 pitch. It'll be Figgins, Abreu, and Guerrero, the top three hitters for Mike Scioscia's team. They come in at 2 games over the 500 mark at 28 and 26. The speedy Figgins has it safely in 21 of his last 23, and Porcello misses again, 3-0.
And when Porcello has that good movement on his fastball, what Laird has to do is set up right down the heart of the plate and just allow the ball to naturally sink on the right side of the plate on the outside corner to the left-hander.
There is strike one. Figgins in the series 2 out of 7. You shut down Figgins and you go a long way toward at least slowing down their offense. 3-1 is a strike. He had Figgins buckling out of the way. 3-2.
And here's that natural movement that we're talking about with Porcello and the two-seam fastball. When you see the left-hander jackknife out of the way and you see the ball catch the inner third of the plate, gives you an indication of the movement on the pitch.
Belted in the air down the right field line. That ball is hooking, and that ball stays fair. It is a home run. Sean Figgins with a line drive home run over the 330 mark in right, and the Angels very quickly take a 1-0 lead.
You will not see that every day. As a matter of fact, that is Figgins' first home run of the season. But he knew he was going to get a fastball, and apparently after getting the 3-1 fastball inside, he was looking in there, and he turned on this bad boy. Same pitch, different result. All he did was drop the bat head and rotate the hips, and he got out of here. First home run of the year for Figgins.
Figgins hit 1 all of last year, and in fact coming into this season had 26 big league home runs. So the little guy goes deep, and the Angels lead 1-0. Here's Bobby Abreu. Breaking ball drops in nicely.
It's good to see him come out with the breaking ball early in this game. And Gerald Laird was talking about Porcello's start against Boston 5 days ago and said he did not have his breaking ball nor his changeup. He was basically trying to pitch with just his two-seam fastball, and you can't do that in the big leagues.
1-2 on Abreu. 1 for 5 in the series with an RBI. Slap toward third, fair ball. Inside the bag and out of the reach of Brandon Inge. Abreu motoring towards second base. Here comes the throw. It's tardy. And it's a double for Bobby Abreu.
Well, this game is kind of starting out just the way the game started last night against Jackson in the first inning. Only Figgins singled in the first, and Abreu drove him in with a double. The Angels are apparently a little angry after what Jackson did to them in last night's game. That ball right down the third baseline.
And that is the 2,000th hit in the career of Bobby Abreu.
It's a lot of knocks.
So they'll save that baseball for him. Here is Vladimir Guerrero. Big rip on the first pitch, 0-1.
That's where you have to pitch Vladimir. He can handle every single pitch. But the least amount of damage that he does do is on those balls that are about belt high that kind of crowd him on the inside part of the plate where that last one was located.
That one stayed up, the fastball, and the count is 1-1 on Vlad. Guerrero 2 for 7 in the series. He is currently 9th among active players with 393 career home runs. So this guy will get to 2,000 hits and 400 career homers. At least he got to 2,000 hits last year.
Well, we told you last night, and I'm sure some of you weren't watching because you were probably watching the Red Wings, but for 11 straight seasons, Vladimir has hit over 300 and had at least 25 home runs, and he's only the second player to do as much. Lou Gehrig did it back in 1927 to 1937. Gives you an idea of how talented Vladimir is.
Thought about chasing that pitch. Didn't do it, though.
When you start getting your name mentioned in the same sentence as Lou Gehrig, you know you've done something special.
As he has in his career 14th season, and a lifetime 322 hitter.
With that violent swing and swinging at everything from the shoe tops to the bill of the cap.
Got it. Strike three. Porcello threads the outside corner. Guerrero didn't like it at all.
That might have been a four-seam fastball there from Porcello. The difference in pitches is one straight, the other one has some movement, and you can see that he humped up a little bit and got 93 with this four-seamer and located it beautifully.
I think Guerrero thought it might have been a touch low, but up with the right hand went Jerry Crawford. Here's Kendry Morales. Porcello trying to limit the damage here in the first inning. A leadoff home run by Figgins and a double by Abreu. Morales batting .273. Just one hit in the series, 1 for 7. Here's the 0-1. Bouncing ball hit to the right side. It's a foul ball.
We've already seen several breaking balls by Porcello, and it looks like he's going to be active with that pitch to the left-handers. He started Abreu off with a breaking ball for a strike, and he's also thrown back-to-back breaking balls here to Morales. It's also good to see Laird calling that pitch early to make sure that Porcello has a feel for it.
Again, the fastball rides up and in, 1-2.
If you're wondering about Tiger's arms in the outfield, Granderson has an average arm, but he has good control with it. Rayburn has a good arm from left field. Ordonez's arm is not as strong as it used to be, but he gets rid of the ball quickly and accurate. Should Morales get a base hit.
Slowly off the end of the bat, Inge will charge and barehanded. Nice play by Brandon, who does that day in and day out. Tougher play than he made it look.
That's the old pull it play. You grab it, you get in the palm of your hands, you transfer to the fingertips, and you just pull it. Pull it across the diamond.
It's the first time I have heard that referred to as the pull it play. That's something you've created?
Something I've heard.
Oh, okay. It's even better in Exmo.
Pull it. Lincoln Mercury Exmo.
So 2 gone. Move the runner to third base. That would be Abreu. And that'll bring up Juan Rivera, the Halos left fielder. Ball outside to Rivera. Hitting at a .338 clip in his last 20. 1 for 7 in the series. Has an RBI. Neither club really doing a whole lot offensively in this series because of the pitching.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, Jackson and Verlander were great, and for the Angels, Santana was outstanding in the first game. And Escobar, I think, for his first game back, was very good.
I think the Angels should be very pleased with what Escobar showed yesterday.
Grounded toward third, foul.
The Angels have seen some real good arms on this road trip. They ran into Roy Halladay 5 days ago, and of course they got Verlander and Jackson in the first couple of games of this series. It's some real good pitching in the American League this year. Some dominant starters. Some of the best I've seen in the last few years.
1-2 is low. It'll roll away from Laird. Well, this Angels team is certainly not built around power. They have hit just 43 home runs now, with a homer today by Figgins, which is the fewest in the American League. But Mike Scioscia has his team run the bases as well as anybody.
Well, they did not have a guy last year with 30 home runs or 100 RBIs, and they still won 100 games and won their division by 21 games. So the game they play works real well for the makeup of his ball club.
Fouled away. 2-2 on Rivera. They have stats for just about everything. The Angels have gone from first to third on a base hit 43 times this year, which is the most in the majors. Just kind of giving an indication of the type of aggressiveness that they show on the base paths. Again, the 2-2 from Porcello. Grounded foul.
Because of their aggressiveness, at times they will run themselves into outs, but they really don't concern themselves with that. They don't change the way they play. he was a good player himself. And he is a tremendous manager. He is a real good leader.
There's a high fly ball hit into left field. Rayburn backing up to the track, to the wall, and there's another Angels home run. They don't hit many, but they have 2 in this inning as Rivera goes deep, and it's now 3-0 Los Angeles. Quick start for the Angels offense today.
You know, we have talked about Rivera the last couple of days, the fact that he kind of takes that left foot when starting and kind of steps down toward third base. It kind of clears his hips out of the way. And he got himself a hanging breaking ball and just kind of clobbered it. Hips cleared out, foot stepping down third base. And that's about the only place that he could have done that with hitting a home run, that ball that was hanging.
Number 6 for Juan Rivera. And so even though the Angels don't hit many home runs, you couldn't tell it by the way they've come out swinging the bats today.
Porcello coming off an outstanding month of going 5-0 with an earned run average of 1.50, which was the best in the American League. And so far, his 2 starts in June have not been all that good.
So he'll try and regroup now and face Gary Matthews Jr. with the bases empty. Matthews looks at strike 1. The first 2 games in this series were 2-1 affairs, and already 3 runs in the first inning of game 3. So a little bit of a different look to this game. 1 ball, 1 strike on Gary Matthews Jr. playing out in center today. Torrey Hunter gets the afternoon off. Bouncing ball hit to short. Everett has it. And that is that for the Angels. But a big inning, 2 home runs, 3 runs in. Tigers will come to the plate down 3-0. Saunders. Here's how they line him up. Look who's back leading off. Curtis Granderson will start things off in center field, and Polanco at second. Maglio is in right. Cabrera is your first baseman. Thames the DH, followed by Inge, Rayburn, Laird, and then Adam Everett. Tigers offense pretty good against the American League West. We'll see if that continues here today. The Bernstein advantage brings you the scouting report on left-hander Joe Saunders of the Angels. Get the Bernstein advantage. We go to bat for you.
Well, Saunders in his career has been somewhat of a stopper for this Angels ball club after they have lost a game. He is 20-6, and he has been rolling on the road since last year. Numbers are up this year, but last year had the best earned run average of any American League pitcher on the road at 2.55. And the Tigers have a lot of success against left-handed pitchers, and they'll need to do as much if they're going to cut into this deficit that has been created 3-0 here in the first inning.
So the 27-year-old out of Springfield, Virginia, goes to work, and the first pitch rides inside to Curtis Granderson. Randy had his 9-game hitting streak snapped last night, 1 for 6 in the series with an RBI. And he drills this one down the right field line. It's going to hook, though, and go foul.
Looks like it might be a good day to hit for both clubs.
I think you're right. It seems a little bit more humid today. Maybe the ball's going to carry a bit. 1-1. Granderson at .269. He's hit 13 home runs. Saunders 1-2. Tigers 2.5 game spread in the American League Central as you look at these splits on Granderson. Of course, Detroit has that really beefy road trip coming up. 1-2 pitch, beauty of a pitch, a breaking ball for strike 3. Granderson is out.
Take a look at the Angels defense behind Saunders in this ball game. Rivera, Matthews Jr., Abreu in the outfield. You've got the speedy Sean Figgins at third. Ibar, Kendrick, Morales round out the remainder of the infield. And Mathis is back behind the plate this afternoon. He caught Friday night's game here with Santana on the mound.
There's Placido Polanco. Saunders having another pretty good year, 6-4 so far. His ERA at 3.77.
Only 19 walks in 71 2/3 innings, so he pitches to a lot of contact.
Pulled foul down the third base line.
Saunders has a cut fastball. That was the cut fastball that he likes to throw to the right-handed hitters, but he likes to get you out with a changeup or a sinker ball if you're a right-hander. He will also try to change the hitter's eye level with several elevated fastballs around the letters in this ball game this afternoon.
For Polanco, he was on base 3 times last night. He had a couple of singles, was hit by a pitch, and we talked about how imperative it is for Polanco to get his bat going. He's a guy that has typically hit around 300 and has been in the middle of that offense that when it's rolling can be really, really good. Tigers trying to get back to that offense because quite honestly it has sputtered, and I know they've run into some pretty good pitching in this series, but a couple of 2-1 games. Last night they were on the top end of the 2-1 score. 3-2 on Placido. Saunders a 17-game winner last year, had an ERA of a shade over 3. 3-2 pitch. Fouled away. Polanco 21 RBIs this year, trying to set the table for Maglio, who is waiting on deck. The Tigers have a semblance of their A offense with Cabrera back in there after missing a couple of games. Shot foul again, back out of play. 3-2. There's a little boost to the offense today, hopefully, with Cabrera and Marcus Thames.
They've got power, that's for sure.
Checked it, and he lost it. Ball 4. 1 on, 1 out. Here's a reminder to vote for the Tigers player of the game using your cell phone. Text Tigers followed by a space and then the player's uniform number to our new code is FSDET or 37338. You can see the final results post game during Tigers Live. 3-0 ball game early in this one. Tigers have their first base runner. Here's Ordonez. Ball 1 to Maglio.
That's that elevated fastball that he will throw a lot of today. Tiger hitters are aware of that. But it's one thing to be aware of it and another thing to lay off of it. So far they've been pretty good at not swinging at it.
One ball, one strike.
Saunders last year did a marvelous job of establishing himself as a real good big league starter. And the Angels had Kelvin Escobar and also John Lackey start the season on the DL. And all Saunders did was rank off 6 consecutive wins at the beginning of the year last year. Huge step forward.
was an all-star last year for the first time in his career.
Yep. He and Irvin Santana really stepped up big for them last year in the absence of the two guys that I mentioned.
Well, I don't think there's been any thought that the starting staff would have any problems. Obviously, they're getting healthy now. It's been the bullpen, and we've talked to that. And there seems, Rod, to be a big void out there without Frankie Rodriguez out there.
They miss his leadership. He's got talent. There's no debate about that. I'm talking about Frankie Rodriguez. But the people that I've talked to, they say that the most thing is they miss his leadership.
The base hit to right field. Classic single to right for Maglio Ordonez. So that's going to bring the tying run to the plate, and it's the big fella back in the lineup, Miguel Cabrera.
Well, this is what happened to him on Thursday. He kind of pulled up after rounding second base on a base hit by Granderson, and then he pinch hit on Friday, and that caused Jim Leyland not to play him on Saturday, but apparently he's good enough to go today.
And here he is in a big spot early with the Tigers down by 3. Strike one. Leland said yesterday that they're going to be very, very cautious because of the killer road trip they have coming up, and that includes the doubleheader in Chicago tomorrow. And they wanted to make sure that this guy's bat would be in the lineup. But he's out there playing defense today. The 0-1.
I'm sure Jim probably told Cabrera, as far as running today, do not try to do too much. And I think Cabrera was one of those kids, Mario, that kind of learned how to play with pain, because last year he played the majority of the season with that bad left hip flexor where he really couldn't run. So they don't pay him to run the bases. They pay him to trot around the bases.
Well, if you're wondering why he is not DHing today, you brought up a good point before the game today, Rod, saying that maybe sometimes guys with that injury, if they DH and sit down, it can tighten up again as opposed to, keep moving around defensively.
I believe that's probably one of the reasons why they decided to play him at first base today. He stays loose. He's playing defense. He's running on and off the field versus just sitting down there in the air-conditioned clubhouse getting stiff.
He's behind in the count, 1-2.
This is where he likes to climb the ladder.
Swing and a miss. Down he goes with a breaking ball, and Cabrera is the second out. Big strikeout there for Saunders. He's going to bring on Marcus Thames.
Tigers have good fans. They know that Marcus Thames has not been with the ball club for quite some time, and they gave him a nice round of applause.
Well, this would be a nice spot for his first home run of the year. Marcus batting .222, has not played since April 18th against Seattle. And he lines one to left, a base hit. Here comes Polanco rounding third. They're going to stop him. Rivera fires it back in on one hop, and Gene Lamont threw up the stop sign. It looked like Polanco was thinking about running through it.
Gene Lamont is an outstanding third base coach. He did not want to run into an out at home plate. That ball was hit like an absolute missile off of the bat of Marcus Thames. He climbed the ladder and got on top of that fastball, and he killed it. Rivera made a very strong, accurate throw toward home plate, which leads me to believe that Lamont made the right call here. Gino has been a third base coach with a number of different ball clubs. The Pirates of Boston, Houston, and now here with Detroit. And he's a nice traffic cop down there in that third base coaching box. It's too bad he hit it too hard.
He did. If it's possible, that's what happened. Here's Brandon Inge. Strike one. Good to see Marcus in that first at bat pick up a base hit, because in his rehab, he started off very slowly, then picked it up toward the end. Inge, meanwhile, batting .278. Big chance for the Tigers to climb back in it. Brandon shoots one to right, sinking, base hit. Right in front of Abreu. 1 run will score. 2 runs are in as Maglio comes around. A 2-run, 2-out single by Brandon Inge. 37 RBIs now for Inge.
We said it was going to be a good day for the hitters, and so far here in the first inning, several players have centered the baseball very well. It's a good located pitch by Saunders. It's down and away, but the Tigers already know what Saunders wants to try to do in certain situations, and that's go away with that two-seam fastball, and Brandon did a nice job of just going the opposite way to drive in a couple of runs. It looked like Abreu was going to have a chance to catch that ball initially, and it looked like he was entertaining the thought of diving for it, but he thought better of that because he didn't want that ball to get by him.
Here's Ryan Rayburn tying run at third. Rayburn hits a ground ball to short. Right there is Ibar, and on one pitch they'll get the force out to end the inning. But a good inning for the Tigers. They strand two but scored two. They'll go to the second, 3-2. Second, both starting pitchers rocked around a little bit in that first. 5 runs in between the two ball clubs. And for the Angels here in the second, they will send Eric Ibar to the plate, then Jeff Mathis and Howie Kendrick facing the right-handed offerings of Rick Porcello. Each team with 3 hits. There's a bunt right back toward the mound. Rick pounces on it, and Ibar is out of there. Nice thought, but placement wasn't very good.
That's what happens when you rush out of the batter's box.
A reminder, this game is available in crystal clear high definition on Fox Sports Detroit HD, sponsored by Comcast. Here's Jeff Mathis. Alternating catchers in this series for the Angels. Mathis, Napoli, now Mathis. Batting .221, he has really scuffled down the road. He is 3 for 35 away from the big A this year. The Angels do have a pretty good record, though, and Mathis catches. He rolls that one foul third base side. In fact, in his last 165 games caught, the Angels have won 104 of those. Very good defensive catcher. Mike Napoli, known more for his bat in that duo that the Angels will throw at you from behind the plate. Porcello's 0-2 pitch is a little high. 1-2 on Mathis. Rick leads all American League rookies with 6 wins. He's also 4th among American League rookies with a .370 ERA. Two balls, 2 strikes. Porcello, the American League Rookie of the Month in May. And that's low, and now the count fills at 3-2. So from 0-2 to 3-2. Howie Kendrick waiting on deck. Popped up, foul ground, Inge racing toward the barrier, but it's back out of play. Battle for it in the seats.
You know, I talk about the two-seam fastball quite often, and here's an example of exactly what it does. If you're a hitter, it looks like the ball's right down the middle, and then all of a sudden, when you start your swing, that ball just creeps inside on you. Take a look at the movement here. It just kind of chases you, and that ball gets in and crowds Mathis, and he has to get a new bat. That's a great shot there.
Well, Porcello is not a guy that will get a ton of strikeouts. He did pick up one in the first, but he will get his ground balls. His ground ball to fly ball ratio is the third best in the American League. And he lost him. Boy, didn't want to do that. He was ahead of Mathis, the number 8 hitter, 0-2, and he ends up walking him. First of the game now for Rick. It's going to bring up Howie Kendrick. Still struggling to get it going offensively. Kendrick 3 for his last 24. 1 hit, 1 RBI in the series. There is strike 1. Bud Black used to be the pitching coach with the Angels, and he nicknamed Howie Kendrick Truck. And he asked Howie one day, did you ever hear of Eddie Kendricks and the Temptations? And of course, Eddie wrote the song Keep On Truckin'.
Yes.
And from that point on, Howie was known as Truck.
I'm sure Howie probably didn't know anything about Eddie Kendrick, but I'm sure his folks did, his mom and dad. Eddie was a bad boy.
Temptations were a sweet group, man. They had a lot of hits.
Yes, they did.
Motown sound.
Yeah.
Oh, and 1 on Howie or Truck, whichever you prefer. Bouncing ball back up the middle. Could be 2. Polanco, Everett, and a double play. 4-6-3. There's the ground ball from Porcello. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit. Brought to you by Bell Tire. The second here at Comerica Park on a Kids Day here on Sunday afternoon at the ballpark. Free face painting. You see the Verlander hats that were given out today.
Sweet hats.
It's pretty good artwork as well. I hope that comes off. Well, we go to the bottom of the second. Gerald Laird leads it off. It'll be Laird, Everett, and Granderson facing Joe Saunders, who surrendered 2 in the first, and a breaking ball high 1-0 on Gerald. Adding 229. Here's the 1-0. Laird is from Southern California and grew up going to a lot of Angels games. He is also a big Lakers fan, and we've seen him lurking about in the clubhouse with his Kobe Bryant jersey probably displayed. The 1-1.
That's not a bad jersey to have. Kobe's a bad boy. He was unbelievable in the first game of that series against the Orlando Magic.
Pick one, Kobe or LeBron?
Kobe.
Really?
For me, yeah. I'll take Kobe. Kobe's a trained assassin.
Can't go wrong with either.
I'll take Kobe.
3-1 pitch. Line drive, base hit. Gerald Laird. Leadoff single.
Hey fans, see the Tigers take on the Chicago Cubbies June 23rd through the 25th. Tickets are on sale now for all 3 games at 866-66-TIGER or online at tigers.com. Uncle Lou Piniella and the Cubbies coming to Comerica Park.
When were we in Chicago at Wrigley? Was that 06?
That was that year when the Tigers were rolling.
Yeah, that was 06.
Rolling. I mean, that was fun.
That was a 3-day party there in Chicago.
They were like home games for the Tigers.
Yeah, they sure were.
Granderson was leading off every game with a home run, a triple, or a double. They had some crazy success in that 3-game series. And then went to Milwaukee right after that and didn't miss a beat. That was that year, I think, where they may have lost maybe 1-2 games to the National League in interleague play.
Yeah, they rolled. Well, and Trammell's going to be back as well. The 0-1 is lifted in the air. Shallow right field, and Kendrick. One gone.
And we talked about the Tigers and the success that they've had against left-handers since the beginning of 2006. No one has been better.
69-37. Here's Granderson. Fanned back in the first inning.
Saunders has got a pretty firm four-seam fastball when he decides to throw it. Anywhere from 91 to 93. But does not throw that many of those. Most of his are two-seam variety with little movement.
Staying away from Granderson, 1-1. Saunders was involved in that pitching duel with Zach Greinke back on May 9th. He beat Greinke and the Royals 1-0. Greinke has since come down to earth a little bit.
Yep.
But that was his first career complete game shutout.
Saunders has drawn some tough opponents this year. Halladay, his last start. And he also locked up with Eric Bedard a couple of starts ago. He won that start against Bedard in the Seattle Mariners.
He gave a stat earlier in the pitching report, which I thought was a really telling stat about a guy. And Saunders is 20-6 in his career after an Angels loss, which is right up there with the definition of stopper. Tigers won it last night, and the Angels lead it 3-2 here today. The 2-2 popped him up in the air, shallow left center field. Juan Rivera is there, and there are 2 gone. Laird retreats. He's going to leave it up to Polanco. Saunders, a Virginia native. He attended Virginia Tech. Placido walked, scored back in the first inning. Tigers gave up 3 but scored 2. Tigers got a walk and a single in that first inning to set up the scoring threat, and a couple of 2-out hits produced the 2 runs. Looking for a 2-out hit here from Polanco. Placido has only 1 home run this season. He's never really been a big home run guy, but gets 8 or 9 before the season is done. There goes the runner, and it's hit toward right field, heading toward the corner. That ball is down, but it's foul. Abreu giving chase. Polanco's only home run this year was in Kansas City back on May 27th. And the 0-2 outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Saunders has been quite a pitcher on the road in his young career, and it still is a young big league career. 21-8 lifetime away from the Big A. Ooh, that one just missed, if it missed at all.
94. Where'd that come from?
The Angels have produced some good pitching in the recent years. Jared Weaver, Saunders. The 2-2 is lined into left center field, a base hit. Laird takes the turn. He's going to try for 3, and he'll make it. Throw comes back into second base. It's a 2-out knock for Polanco.
It's a wise decision by Matthews in center field not to try to get Laird at third base. And he kept Polanco at first. He kept another runner out of scoring position. Saunders tried to double up with a fastball inside on Polanco, and Polanco, with that short, quick stroke, was waiting for the second one. Hit that ball pretty good into center field.
So the tying run again is just 90 feet away. Laird at third base. Here comes Ordonez, who singled in the first and scored a run. Right back up the middle off the bare hand of Saunders. They will have enough time to get Maglio. And the 1-4-3 to end the inning. Saunders took that one off the bare hand, though. Still a 3-2 ball game at the end of 2.
Turned in one of the best that I have seen in a long time. He went through Abreu, Guerrero, and Torrey Hunter, and he just overpowered them with, I'm talking about fastballs anywhere from 97 and 99 miles an hour. It's also one of the reasons why the Tigers internally had some conversations about Jackson when they acquired him about being a closer, because it wasn't sure who their closer was going to be. And boy, did he look like a closer last night.
Unreal. And here are the last two, Jackson and Verlander, with 104 strikeouts combined since May 1st. It's amazing.
That effort by Jackson last night had everybody in the ballpark even buzzing today, the day after he had done it. I'm talking about both sides, the Angel side and the Tiger side. It was impressive.
Well, it has been a dynamic 1-2 punch without question. Figgins will be nipped at the wire, and the ground ball, one away. So Porcello settling down after giving up the 2-run shot to Rivera in the first. Rick got a double play ball back in the second. Here's Bobby Abreu.
Usually guys are running out of a little bit of steam, partner, when they get to the ninth inning. They've thrown over 100 pitches, but it seemed like Jackson, he got re-energized.
Well, the term he used last night I think is accurate. He is a horse, and we saw a lot of that in that ball game at Baltimore that he pitched 2 starts ago. But last night I think he kind of ramped it up even more. I mean, what's it like for a hitter after playing 9 innings or going into the 9th inning? And you played an entire game, and you've got a guy out there that's still throwing 99.
I'm sure the Angels felt pretty good about the 9th inning last night. With Abreu coming up and Guerrero coming up and Hunter coming up, but Jackson was just filthy.
What an acquisition. I was trying to think of some of the better offseason acquisitions. I can't think of a single one.
This year?
In terms of trades, yeah, in the offseason.
There's none like that one.
No.
At least not yet. It hasn't surfaced.
I know Ibanez has had a nice season over in the National League.
Yep.
With the Phillies.
He was a free agent, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. It's ball 4 down low. So Abreu, who has a tremendous on-base percentage, on base 2 more times in this game.
Well, he's a guy you really don't want to walk, because unless you really follow the Angels, you don't understand how good he is. He also has 15 stolen bases, and he has not been caught yet.
Here's Guerrero.
He will hit into a double play, though.
And is hit slowly and foul down the third base line. But Vladimir's known for going after that first pitch or hacking just in general.
Yes, and if Porcello locates the 2-seam fastball at the bottom of the strike zone, he could get the ground ball, which he gets a lot of, and get himself out of this inning before Abreu takes off for second.
Guerrero hit into a big double play in the 8th inning in game 1, the game the Angels eventually won. So he's hit into 4 of them this year.
And if Porcello gives Gerald Laird a chance to throw, Laird has the ability to throw out Abreu.
$15 for 15 for Bobby Abreu in the stolen base column. Big swing by Guerrero. 0-2. Well, with a swing like this, as he pointed out in his last at bat, it really is amazing. This guy is well over 300 as a career hitter.
Very seldom strikes out. His contact to damage ratio is off the charts.
Oh boy, here's a bad throw. Abreu is thinking about going to third because Cabrera can't get to it. Polanco's going to have to run it down, and the Angels take advantage of the bad hamstring by Cabrera.
Well, they first and foremost took advantage of the bad throw by Porcello, which is exactly what good base runners will do. They will put pressure on you to make you throw the ball wildly. And Dino Evil, the third base coach, was yelling at Abreu to come to third base.
Abreu even went in face first on the ground. Now the infield in. Porcello will throw from the windup. Hit on the ground to the shortstop. They're going to have a play at home. The throw and the tag, and he is out. Abreu tried to score on the ground ball. It was fairly sharply hit right at the pulled in infield.
You really wouldn't expect anything other than a contact play with the base runner coming home. That's the way the Angels play. Unfortunately for them, it was hit right at Everett. Everett with a good firm throw, layered in front of the plate, leaving no place for Abreu to slide. So the air, not all that costly.
Fielder's choice allows Guerrero to reach, and that's going to bring up Kendry Morales now with 2 outs. He takes ball 1. There was a day when Vlad would run and steal some bases, but those days appear to be in the past. He stole 40. That's his high water mark with Montreal several years ago.
2002.
Yeah, that was the 02 season where he
had 39 home runs.
39 jacks and almost became the 40-40 guy.
He had about a week to do it too, and couldn't get that final home run.
The 1-1 pitch, lifted high in the air, deep into left. Rayburn going back to the track in front of the wall to make the catch. Morales is out, so are the Angels. No damage done by the throwing error. Still 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. That's a promise. AT&T, your world delivered. And by Aflac, we've got you under our wing. Nice day right now here in the Motor City. 72 degrees as the Tigers and Angels wrap up this series. Tigers down by a run. Joe Saunders back at the hill. The Tigers batting in the bottom of the 3rd. Miguel Cabrera, then Marcus Thames and Brandon Inge. Tigers have had Saunders on the ropes a couple of times. They got 2 against him in the 1st inning. And so far have left 4 men on base through the first 2 frames. 2-0 on the big fella. Cabrera struck out in the 1st. Waves and misses. 2-1.
Cabrera's taken a couple of huge swings in this game already against Saunders and come up empty. It appears that he is trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He usually does not swing with that much aggressiveness. Very much under control is Cabrera.
That's hammered foul. 2-2.
Came into play today hitting .354, good for 2nd in the American League. Bartlett of the Tampa Bay Rays is leading the American League in batting, but he's on the disabled list right now.
That's away, 3-2. Jason Bartlett has turned out to be one whale of a pickup for them. I mean, he's been unbelievable. In fact, he was voted Tampa's Player of the Year last year. There is ball 4, and Cabrera gets a walk. Leadoff man on. His second walk.
Well, there's David Chad right there, sitting with the white shirt on. He's the Tigers Vice President of Amateur Scouting. And Mario, there's a big day coming up on Tuesday for the Tigers. It's draft day.
Tigers will select 9th on Tuesday, and it's a draft this year, Rob, that is really heavy in pitching. There's a strike called on Marcus.
And David Chad spent some time in Florida early with David Dabrowski before going to Boston, and you can see some of the players that he drafted while with Boston: John Lester and Papelbon and Pedroia. And you see the list at the top. Obviously, since he's been with the Tigers, entering his 5th year.
Back up the middle into center. That's a base hit. Marcus Thames 2 for 2. So right off the disabled list and swinging the bat.
And he's drafted guys like Maben, and Ryan Perry, and Porcello. So it's a big day for the Tigers on draft day. And David Chad is an outstanding scouting director. Have you had a chance to talk to him much?
Not a whole lot, but you know, his reputation when he came over to the Tigers from the Boston Red Sox was as good as any scouting director out there. And you know, we've highlighted some of the players he has selected, but scouting and drafting can be such a tricky thing, I think, especially in baseball, because there's so many players to cover.
David Dombrowski jumped at the opportunity to get him back from the Boston Red Sox. And we told you earlier he was with the Florida Marlins at one point in time before leaving and going to Boston.
I don't know how this year's first round is going to shake out, but there's another good chance the Tigers could get another good arm.
Yes, indeed.
With their first pick at 9 overall. It's fouled back out of play by Brandon in.
That's a pretty good pick.
Well, you know, the Tigers were lower in the first round for a couple of years because guys were able to drop to them, and Mr. Ilitch was able to pay the money that it would take to secure them. They got some guys like Verlander and Porcello.
Yep. Of course, David Chad is the Vice President Amateur Scouting Director. But obviously there are several scouts across the country that do a tremendous job at scouting all the players before he goes in to see them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the tentacles of the scouting department are wide-reaching because of the fact that not only just in the States now, but you got to scout really the entire world. He checked it. Did he go? He did not.
And of course, when David Chad goes out and finds guys like Porcello and Verlander and Miller and all the rest of those guys,
someone's got to pay him.
Yeah, someone's got to sign off. Someone's got to sign the checks.
Mr. I, by the way, has to be thrilled with what happened at the Joe last night. The 1-2 is outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And Brandon may want to try to flip something in the right field once again. When you get yourself with 2 strikes and you got a runner in scoring position, yeah, you just want to try to let the ball travel as deep as possible to prevent you from swinging at something out of the strike zone, and that means simply try to hit it the opposite way.
Wave and a miss, and Saunders gets a big strikeout.
Huge strikeout.
It's his 3rd. 1 out. Runners have to hold, and that'll bring up Ryan Rayburn.
Meanwhile, how about Marcus Thames? Fresh off the disabled list, couple of real good swings today.
You know what? The Tigers have been craving for offense so much that it's great to see him just step right in.
And he's hit 2 bullets.
Tigers have that tying run in scoring position. Keep in mind that's Cabrera, though, so I'm not sure he'd be able to score on a ball that was hit somewhat sharply. That's driven to left field, but it's going to go right at Rivera. Hit it hard, but straight at it. Rayburn just looking out there toward left field, thinking, man, I scalded that thing.
Well, for Cabrera to score from second base, it's going to have to be somewhat of a gapper anyway. And Gene Lamont will have to hold him up because he's not going to run him into an out at home plate. He's not going to re-injure that hamstring. And every time I see Cabrera, he's reaching behind him, grabbing that left hamstring.
Is there any chance they'd give us a courtesy runner for Cabrera out there?
No, they don't do that at this level.
Oh, they don't? Just thought I'd check.
Run for the catcher?
Yeah, right. Here's Laird. That's outside. Gerald with a single back in the 2nd. 3-2. Each team getting their runs in the first inning. Of course, that's how it was able to shake out last night. Angels scored 1, Tigers scored 2, and nobody scored after that. Laird now 3 hits in this series. 2-0 on Gerald, so he's got himself set up pretty good here. Low, 3 balls, no strikes. Everett, the number 9 hitter, on deck.
If Laird gets something that he likes right here, don't be shocked if he doesn't swing at it.
Ooh, down the middle, he let it go. 3-1.
It's a good pitch to swing at.
Right at the knees. Cabrera led off the inning with a walk, then Thames singled. And now 2 outs later, it's 3-1 on Laird. And there's a walk to load the bases.
He didn't want anything to do with Laird. He feels like his best chance at getting out of this inning is to go after Everett.
So here's Adam Everett, who in the month of April was delivering big hit after big hit. And Adam, in fact, even in April and May, was an outstanding offensive performer. And let's see if he can come through here with 2 outs. As Saunders now reaches 62 here in the 3rd. And it's lined to center field. That ball is down. It's going to be a base hit. Cabrera scores. Thames scores. Laird goes to 3rd. And Everett does it again. A key 2-out knock. And he wasted little time.
Everett knew that Saunders was basically pitching around Gerald Laird to get to him. And every now and then as a player, you take it personal. And he went up there and got the first fastball that he saw at 93 miles an hour, and he absolutely hit a seed into center field. Tigers have runners on 1st and 3rd now with 2 outs. It's a nice job. Nice traffic cop down there. He's waving one home, but then he's pointing at the other one. You stay here and you stand up.
So Saunders, who gave up 6 runs in 5 1/3 in his last start, has now given up 4 runs here as we play in the 3rd inning.
Let's take one more look at the traffic cop here. Gene Lamont. Now Marcus Thames is on second base, so he's waving Marcus Thames home with the left hand. Gerald Laird, who was on first base, is going to point to the bag, and he's also going to put the left hand up to indicate you stand up. Now he's going to point and puts the hand up. Nice little traffic cop there.
Well, Tigers with the bases loaded, 444 as a team in 2009.
Lamont might have a career after his third base coaching days are over as the crossing guard.
You think so?
Yeah. You know, they direct some traffic. Yeah, crossing guard.
It's going to have to be one of those country intersections, though, where it's real slow, like a little main street, small town. Here's Granderson. There's a strike. Going 1. Curtis in the ball game, fly ball and a strikeout. Tigers have come back to take a 4-3 lead in what has been a very offensive ball game here so far. The 0-1. 0-2. Granderson behind in the count. Curtis, one of those guys that very rarely will step out of the box. He might have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but he's always ready to hit. Let's see what Saunders serves up here on 0-2. Swing and a miss. Breaking ball, strike 3 to end the inning. But the Tigers get a big 2-out hit from Everett. And they have taken the lead now, 4-3. the two Angels who have won an American League MVP award. There have been two in the Halos history. Can you name them? Answer coming up in the bottom of the fourth inning. In the meantime, Juan Rivera will be leading things off. Rick Porcello now has a lead to work with for the first time here this afternoon. He fell behind 3-0 in the first inning.
Rivera got himself a hanging breaking ball from Porcello his last time up and played long ball into the Tigers bullpen. He won't get that pitch again. Not today.
Porcello has been first pitch strike on 10 of 14.
It's pretty good.
Here's the 1-0. Hammered left center field, down. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Extra bases for Juan Rivera, and he will pull in with a two-base hit. Just like that, the Angels get the tying run in scoring position.
Looks like it's going to be one of those days. Breaking ball first time up. That time he got himself a fastball and a good hitter's count and put a really nice swing on it.
Fourth hit for the Angels. Tigers have 7 hits already in this game. So here's Gary Matthews Jr.
You know, the Angels desperately tried to sign.
High fly ball left field. Rayburn cruising over. 1 out.
Mark Teixeira in the offseason, who they had traded for at the midway point last year, and they offered him a lot of money, but of course Teixeira ended up in New York. But they said by not signing him allowed them to sign guys like Rivera, also sign guys like Bobby Abreu, also Fuentes, their closer. So they didn't get the one guy, but they got multiple pieces.
Yeah, in the end, that may be better for their ball club as a whole. Although Teixeira is really starting to come around now in New York. There's strike one on Eric Ibar.
And Gary Matthews Jr. failed to do his job there with a runner on second, nobody out. And what you want to do there is either drive him in or get him over.
Breaking ball outside, 1-1. Ibar hit one right back to the mound his first time up. The speedy shortstop. Slap foul. 1-2 on Eric Ibar, the brother of Willie Ibar, who plays for Tampa. That's where the Angels are headed next. They have an off day tomorrow. They'll spend it in St. Pete.
That's a nice place to spend an off day. Nice, relaxing area that we stay in down in Florida.
Nice hotel.
Yeah.
The Vinoy.
I like the way you said that. The Vinoy.
But you know what they say about the Vinoy.
I've heard the story.
There are ghosts that lurk in that hotel.
Have you seen any?
I have not. I left my infrared light at home last time I went there. Now, I'm not a big believer that ghosts are, although they're now saying that the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee as well, some of the visiting players are saying they saw a ghost there.
Well, thanks for telling me. I'll make sure that those are a couple of places that I will try to stay out of.
I know the Angels are really worried about going to the Vinoy the next 3-4 days. Ooh, Porcello thought he had strike 3. Still looking in.
Oh, swing back fastball at about 91, 92 miles an hour. And you see the grip. That's the two-seam fastball grip. And that ball just has some good movement. Almost a strike.
Yep, a little bit high, maybe. Little chopper hit slowly back up the middle. Polanco rushing it. Got it. By about a half a step, Ibar is out of there. Advanced the runner with 2 gone.
No margin for error when you have a guy with the speed of Ibar running down the line. Polanco gloves this ball, and his throwing hand is right next to the glove, which makes it and takes a little time for him to get it out and get the ball to Cabrera. And it's amazing how you watch these guys on a day-to-day basis and how they kind of set their feet in certain situations before they throw, where their glove is and hand when they're grabbing ground balls. They're good players, best in the world.
Here's Jeff Mathis. They do make it look easy. Easier than it actually is. 2-0 now on Mathis.
Leland is the only one that hits ground balls to Polanco, and he has done so since 2006. And I was talking to Jim about that the other day, and I said, I've noticed now that you're the only one that hits ground balls to him. He says, yes, we got a little good thing going here, and we started back in 2006, and I'll hit the Polanco, and then I'll walk around and talk to the other players.
It's all part of the work that goes on that a lot of times fans don't see during batting practice. You're not just taking swings during batting practice. Infielders are getting their ground balls. Van Slyke is hitting fly balls to the outfielders. There's another walk to Jeff Mathis, his second of the game. And the third now for Porcello. So put him at first and third. And a reminder to get interactive with other Tigers fans. Receive updates from Fox Sports Detroit on Facebook and Twitter. It is easy and free. Simply search Fox Sports Detroit on either site. Become part of our growing social network community. Fox Sports Detroit, available on Facebook and also on Twitter. So the Angels now have runners at the corners, and their number 9 hitter, Howie Kendrick, who hit into a double play in his last at bat. Big swing.
Not a whole lot Howie can do with that last pitch. Great movement down and in. Other than hitting that ball off your shoe top, you can't hit that. Oh, it almost hit him.
He had a better chance to swing his leg and hit that ball. The 0-1.
Same pitch.
Just about the same result.
Yep. It's one of the things that makes Porcello so tough. It's not necessarily the velocity, because he's really only around 92, 93, but he's got a tremendous amount of movement, natural movement on his fastball.
Off the end of the bat, Porcello knocks it down. Has time, though, and shovels it to first. Threat is over. Leadoff double is stranded at third. 3.5 in the books here. Polanco, Ordonez, Cabrera coming up. Trivia question today. Can you name the 2 Angels who have won an American League MVP award? And you are looking at one of them. The other, you got to go back to the late 70s. Don Baylor.
Groove is his nickname.
That's right. I forgot about that. We saw him with the
Colorado.
Rockies.
Yep. Hitting coach now for the Colorado Rockies.
Baylor and Vladimir. Come the Tigers now as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Tigers up by a run 4-3, and Polanco leads it off.
the same way Saunders pitched Polanco's last time up, a couple of fastballs inside, and Polanco laced a single sharply into center field.
1-1. Tigers have had multiple base runners in each of the first 3 innings against Saunders. They've been able to get to him, and we mentioned he gave up 6 runs on 9 hits in 5 1/3 in his last start against Toronto, so he didn't really pitch all that well in that game, and he's already given up 7 hits and 4 runs in this game. Pulled foul right by Gene Lamont.
I think Halladay struck out 14 Angels in that game. It didn't really matter who they were going up against. Halladay was lethal.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Showed you that graphic on Guerrero and Baylor. Guerrero actually won the MVP in 04, not 07. That's deep in the hole. Look at that throwing arm by Ibar. Wow. He fired an absolute clothesline after planting in short left.
Yeah, you can hang some laundry on this bad boy here.
This is just a great play.
And he has a strong throwing arm. He plants his foot and he lets it go. And he needed to do all of this to get Polanco. He just got him. Nice stretch by Morales as well. But Ibar has one of your stronger throwing arms at that position in the league.
Figgins will cut this one off before it gets to Ibar, and Maglio is out of there. 2 gone.
Take one more look and see how close it really was. Polanco lobbing for that base hit.
Dan Bellino made that call down there at first. I think it was the right call. Very close, though. There's a strike on Miguel Cabrera.
It's the first time we've seen Dan Bellino. He must be filling in for one of the umpires that's on vacation.
1 ball, 1 strike. I don't recall seeing Mr. Bellino, so I'm sure that's the truth. Umpires get vacation during the season.
Early, too. They've only been going at it for 2 months.
I know. They got the whole off season to rest as well.
Good gig if you can get it.
It's a great gig. That little guy's got his cards going there. That misses outside.
Tigers fans got to get out and vote for Cabrera to get to the All-Star game. Because right now he's trailing some other really good first basemen. There's going to be a real good first baseman that does not make the All-Star team this year. When you start talking about guys like Teixeira and Youkilis and Morneau, and you add Cabby into the mix, they can't take all of them.
All-Star game coming up 3rd week of July. They're going to take Cabrera out of the game after walking. They'll get a pinch runner for him, Clete Thomas.
Well, they just got to protect him, and apparently he's not right. Here's that voting we're talking about. Youkilis is #1, followed by Teixeira, and then you have Morneau, and then our guy Cabrera, 4th right now.
Marcus hits one high in the air. I mean, a mile high into center. Gary Matthews still waiting for it. Finally falls into his glove. 4 in the books. Tigers still leading by 1. Figgins will lead it off. Ballpark as we continue along in this one. Tigers wrapping up this homestand, and Porcello gave up 3 early runs. I think you've got to be a little bit impressed with 2 things. First, he's kind of stemmed the tide for them, and secondly, the Tigers offense has awoken a little bit here today, and that's good.
Well, the runs the Tigers have scored today, they've all come with 2 outs on a couple of different base hits by different players, but you have to be impressed with the movement on the sinker ball of Porcello. He's absolutely pounding that ball into some very good right-handed hitters, and because of that, he's had some success.
He really has, and the Tigers have been able to hold this Angels offense. They lead it 4-3 here and would like to win 2 out of 3 as the big road trip begins tomorrow in Chicago with a doubleheader. Top of the order coming up here for the Angels. Sean Figgins leading it off. There is Cleat Thomas. He stays in the game to play left. And Ryan Rayburn moves from left to first with Cabrera now out of the game.
In the last few days, Ryan Rayburn been taking some reps over at first base during a pregame practice, during batting practice, I should say.
Flared toward left. Thomas tested immediately, and he runs it down. 1 out. So Porcello gave up the 3 in the first, but nothing since, although he faced some trouble in the 4th inning. Leadoff double. It was eventually stranded. Here's Bobby Abreu. Picked up his 2000th big league hit with a double in the 1st inning. He's always hit well in this ballpark. Came in at 409 here at Comerica Park. The 1-0. Rick had that rocky first, but pretty good since. Abreu batting with 1 out. A couple of hits and an RBI in the series. And he pulls this one on the ground to the right side. Polanco on the backhand. His off balance throw is in time. Nothing flashy, just real steady.
He's got good range. He seems to always have himself positioned correctly. Grabs the ball. We talked about the exchange to the throwing hand. Throws off balance and gets plenty on the throw to get Abreu. But he has to get rid of it in a hurry because of the speed of Abreu.
Guerrero is 0 for 2. 2 for 9 in the series. Eight-time All-Star Guerrero. They were without him when the Tigers were in town last. They missed Guerrero for about 35 games. Had that pec problem. Torn pectoral muscle.
What is that?
At your chest.
That's one. You got one of those?
I got a couple of them. As do most of us.
We all got pecs.
Some are more shapely than others. Depends on how much time you spend at the gym, I suppose.
Okay, I was just wondering. You can't go buy those, I guess.
Well, yeah, actually you can, I suppose. We won't get into that. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. Porcello with a 1-2-3 5th inning. Here come the Tigers, still leading by 1.
Guerrero takes the first pitch, which is the best pitch to hit. Now watch Gerald Laird, how he moves outside, then he goes inside, and he's all throwing fastballs at the same time. Vladdy trying to play long ball, cannot come up with any of them. Finally, the last one, the bottom absolutely falls out of it, and Vladdy swings right through it. That's our Bell Tire pitch by pitch.
Meanwhile, the Tigers have gotten Porcello 4 runs today. As you see his out distribution, we expect every time he pitches a lot of ground ball outs. That has been the story today. Inge leads it off against Saunders and hits one down the first base line, but back out of play. 4 runs, 7 hits for Detroit. 3 runs, just 4 hits for the Angels. Inge, then Rayburn, then Laird. Brandon, a 2-run single in the first, a strikeout in the third. 37 RBIs now for Brandon. Most RBIs that Inge has had in a single season in his career was the 83 that he put up back in 06. That's the year he hit 27 home runs. The 1-2. Saunders has not had an easy inning. He's not had a 1-2-3 frame. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Breaking ball.
Pulled on the ground to third. Figgins has it.
Actually, that was his changeup. Hey fans, party suites for select Tigers home games in June and July are on sale now and include a $300 food credit. Tickets start as low as $85 per person with a maximum of 20 people. And for tickets, call 313-471-BALL or log on to tigers.com for Party Suites Plus deal.
Great seats, great food, great view. Rayburn takes strike 1.
Tigers have been drawing some fans this year. They come in 4th in the American League in home attendance.
Another nice gathering here today.
You can imagine the 3 teams that are ahead of them, Boston, New York, and this Angels ball club, all doing a little bit better with their home attendance. But Tigers are 4th, and that's a nice spot to be in.
Well, with the shape the economy is in here in Michigan, that really says a lot about these fans who come out and support their team.
You win, they'll come.
One and 2 on Ryan Rayburn. Just off the inside part of the plate. He came busting in there, but he missed. 2 and 2.
Not many left-handers that we've watched this year aggressively pitch inside the way that Saunders will, with that cut fastball. He's not afraid to go in there. A lot of the times it's off the plate, but he still goes in there.
3 and 2.
Well, they threw in the 3-2 changeup. What will they do with Rayburn?
Fastball hit high in the air. Center fielder Matthews. 2 outs. Rayburn now 0 for 3, and that is going to bring up Gerald Laird. Saunders looking for his first 1-2-3 frame. I mentioned that Saunders made the All-Star team last year. It was the first left-handed pitcher by the Angels selected to the All-Star team since 1996 when Chuck Finley made it. Talk about a guy that was not afraid to pitch inside to right-handed batters. Finley was a fierce competitor.
He was a big boy too, wasn't he? About 6'6".
He was 6'6". The 0-1. Oh, 0-2 on Laird. A single and a walk today for Gerald. Fouled away.
Well, you got your vocal cords all ready for that doubleheader tomorrow?
Yeah. We're going to have to pace ourselves tomorrow, don't you think?
Exactly.
Day-nighter?
Day-nighter. What happened to the old days when you used to start it at about 5 and just run it into the evening?
Those were the old days. That's the answer. The new days, a little bit different here. The matchups, Galarraga and Burley, Bonderman and Clayton Richard for the night game.
So 2 left-handers tomorrow for the White Sox. And Bonderman making his 2009 debut.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. Bonderman has said that he's going to throw a lot more changeups because the velocity with the fastball is not quite back where it has been for Bonderman since putting on a Tigers uniform back in '03.
Well, when he was throwing hard, he would throw just a handful, if that many, of changeups.
He didn't need it then.
No.
He had 2+ pitches, that fastball and Mr. Snappy, that slider. Yeah, but now it's going to be important for him to find that changeup and throw it.
Lloyd wanted to make sure the count was correct. Jerry Crawford said, yep, it's 3-2. And here it is. And it's grounded foul, and down goes Laird. Right off his foot.
Laird's a gamer. Right off the ankle.
Oh.
He catches day games after night games. Getting his really first opportunity to catch on an everyday basis.
Yeah, they had a bunch of catchers in Texas that they would run through there. Laird was one of them before coming over to Detroit this year. But he's been out there just about every day. Fouled away.
I'd have to say that Texas team is probably the surprise team in baseball.
Well, yeah, I would think so. And they're in first place in the West by 3.5, taking advantage of a slow Angel start. It's a 9th pitch in the at bat, and it's ball 4. That is the 5th walk for Saunders.
That's quite a few.
99 pitches.
And when you walk 5, you're going to rack up that pitch count.
So again, the Tigers have a base runner, and here is Adam Everett, who really delivered with the 2-run single with 2 outs in the 3rd. That put the Tigers ahead 4-3, and they still lead by that margin. Adam now with a total of 20 RBIs. Popped up. First base side, there might be room for Morales. He makes the basket catch right over the railing. That'll do it for the Tigers here in the 5th inning. No runs, they get a walk and leave a man. 5 in the books. Morales, Rivera, Matthews coming up. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by your Chrysler and Jeep Superstores and by Wallside Windows. We can do that. We are the factory. Look at Polanco having some fun with them, as you like to call them, little peeps.
Yes, indeed.
Polly's had a nice game today with the glove. And he's also been on base twice. Porcello back to work. We're headed to the 6th in a one-run game. Kendry Morales, Juan Rivera, Gary Matthews Jr.
And more than likely, this will be Porcello's last inning, if he gets through this inning. And they've monitored his pitches all season long. As a matter of fact, he hasn't thrown 100 pitches in a game. But that doesn't mean that he will not throw 100 pitches. They're just going to watch him very closely all season long.
Here's your proof. Ryan Perry is warming up. The most he has thrown is 95. Slap to right center, base hit, maybe more. Maglio's going to run it down. Granderson's going to get there first, and it's a leadoff double for Kendry Morales. Angels got a leadoff double in the 4th, but failed to score him, and now one more here in the 6th.
Pretty good swing here by Morales, who's had some decent swings against Porcello today. And got himself a hustling double, knowing it was going to be tough for Granderson to get over there and stop on a dime and redirect his body and get anything on his throw to throw him out.
Leland making his way to the mound, and he's got the hook with him. So the leadoff double signals the end for Porcello. Wallside Windows pitching change. We're coming right back. We'll leave it in the hands of the bullpen now as Ryan Perry comes in. The numbers on Rick.
Not too bad. He did walk 3 in the game, only a couple of strikeouts. He got lots of ground balls going up against a really good Angels team. And he'll turn it over to his roommates. And his roommate will be trying to preserve a win for Porcello should the Tigers hold on. That bottom note, opponent's batting average 171. It's really good. Obviously, way too many walks in 22 innings. 19 free passes are way too high. But as we like to say, the youngster is still learning on the job.
Now Juan Rivera will stand in with the leadoff double. Two-base hit by Morales, the tying run. The Angels in this situation back in the 4th were unable to get the runner to 3rd after the leadoff double until later in the inning. Rivera's home run back in the 1st inning was his 6th of the year. Drives that one foul down the right field line. 0-2. Only 5 Angels hits today. Tigers have 7. Detroit trailed 3-0 at one point, then came up with a 2-run first, 2-run third. Fastball way high, 1-2.
It's a good pitch. It changed the eye level of Rivera to see if he would swing at it, but it may have been a little too high. And when you throw that 0-2 pitch, you want to at least entice the hitter into thinking about swinging at it. And Rivera had no thoughts of swinging at it because he recognized it was going to be high when it left Perry's hand. He's got his bat sped up pretty good now with a mixture of fastballs anywhere from 94 to 97. If he threw his breaking ball here and located it down, he could get a swing and miss. Because there's no question that Rivera is looking for that number 1, that fastball.
Right back to the mound.
Throw it.
Go to first for the out. Throw back to third. Not in time.
Oh, that's a bad decision there by Perry. He had the out. It's a bad decision. He had plenty of time. He took 4 or 5 steps toward third. I mean, throw it. He was in no man's land. Yeah.
Morales off the hook. He moves to third, tying run now, just 90 feet away. Here's Gary Matthews. Ground ball foul outside of the bag at first. 0-1 on Matthews. Now Perry would love to strike out here. Matthews trying to tie this one up. He fly to left field back in the 4th.
And Tigers infield not quite all the way in at the cut of the grass. They're giving themselves a little bit of room with Morales being the base runner at third, but judging by the aggressiveness of the secondary lead by Morales, he's coming on contact again. They have already had 1 runner thrown out at home plate in this game, in this situation.
Popped him up, but is going to get back into the seats. Out of play. 0-2. Let's correct the updates, or the matchups I should say. Let's update it for you against Chicago tomorrow. Burley is not going to pitch. These are the correct pitching matchups. Galarraga and Clayton Richard in game 1, and then Bonderman and Contreras in game 2. Day night doubleheader. The 0-2 pitch is outside. Matthews 0 for 2, ground ball and a fly ball. He is just 5 hits away from 1,000 in his career. And he takes outside again, 2-2.
Ryan Perry has thrown all fastballs, has not thrown a breaking ball. There it is.
And it's a big strikeout. Exactly what Perry needed there, and there are 2 gone. That's his first. Runner holds at third base. Now Eric Ibar will bat.
That's what he needed to do to Rivera as well, although he got Rivera out. After you throw so many fastballs in the mid-90s, it's hard for guys to lay off that breaking ball.
Ibar is 0 for 2. Twice he has put the ball on the ground. Those 2 at bats against Porcello. Slapped into left, a base hit, and that's going to tie the ball game. Eric Ibar with an RBI single with 2 outs, and it's a 4-4 game.
One of the things Leland was talking about last night when he was doing his post-game interview, when he was talking about the fact that you don't want to walk some of these Angels hitters, especially guys like Ibar and Figgins, because they can really run. He says, but you don't want to throw them cookie fastballs in there either, because they can hit. And Ibar got himself a fastball up and hit it the other way.
27th RBI for Ibar, and that is the 6th Angels hit. 4-4 game. And you got to keep an eye on Ibar. There is strike 1. Jeff Mathis, 2 walks against Porcello, batting out of the 8th slot. Here's the 0-1. Tigers 2 in the first, 2 in the third. Angels 3 in the first, 1 here in the 6th. They cash in on their leadoff double with a 2-out hit. There goes the runner. Nice jump. Laird's throw. Tag. Safe. Bang bang play down there at second base, but a really good jump by Ibar got him in there safely.
Surprised Laird was able to make it that close. But his throwing percentage from behind the plate is the best in the American League. Quick exchange, good throw, but too much speed for Ibar. That left hand gets in there right ahead of the tag on the backside by Polanco.
Second stolen base for Ibar, and a swing and a miss, doesn't matter. Mathis goes down, side retired. Second strikeout, Perry. They tie it up though. Granderson, Polanco, Ordonez coming up.
Back to the Coors Light 6th inning. It is now time for Coors Light freeze cam. A few innings ago, Brandon Inge comes in on a slow roller. Look at the bare hand here. Palm of the hand, he flips it to the fingertips, and then he pulls it over toward first base. Oh, pull it play. Brought to you by Frost Brew Coors Light. You like that, huh?
I have never heard it referred to as the pull it play. This is a first for me. Nice play by Inge nonetheless. All right, we are tied at 4 now as we go to the bottom of the 6th, and Saunders, who has thrown 101 pitches, is back out there.
Well, he's about done himself.
Grandy leads it off. Waves and misses 0-1. Curtis is fanned twice in this game. He's also flied out 0 for 3. It's pulled on the ground to second base, straight at Howie Kendrick. 1 out here in the 6th. He's going to bring up Polanco. Tigers have had so many base runners today that not already is the 4th at bat for Granderson. Only in the 6th inning. Placido been on base twice, single and a walk. He's also scored one of the 4 Tigers runs. These two teams have played some even games here in this series. A couple of 2-1 games leading up to this one, and this one is tied.
Really close ball games are nothing new for the Angels.
Nice play by Saunders. 2 outs.
They haven't played that many close games this year because their bullpen really hasn't been all that good. But last year, they were a major league best, 61-28. 61-28 in 2 runs or less last year. That's 89%, 89 of your games out of 162, 2 runs or less. And they win the majority of them, obviously, because of their aggressiveness and that bullpen they had last year.
Well, here is Maglio now with 2 outs. It's just very odd to see an Angels team toward the bottom of the league in bullpen ERA and bullpen numbers in general. Have just been so dominant out of the pen the last 5-6 years, maybe beyond that.
Well, we were talking a little earlier about how they miss Frankie Rodriguez, and the one guy that really misses him a lot is Arredondo, because his numbers this year are really bad. And that kid was lights out last year.
That's outside. His numbers last year were really surprising.
One of the best that they'd ever had.
He's got a good arm for a rookie, but his earned run average over 5 this year.
Shields right now is not healthy, but they're getting healthy by the day.
Two and 2 on Ordonez. Try to hit the outside corner, fill it now at 3 and 2. Maglio a single in 3 at bats. Is Arredondo, hard throwing right-hander. 3-2 pitch. Ordonez is hit safely in 21 of 23. Still only 2 home runs though this year. Swing and a miss, and Saunders dusts him off. It's his first 1-2-3 inning of the ball game. 5 strikeouts for Joe Saunders. Kendrick, Figgins, Abreu coming up.
Of authentic Tigers gear, including clubhouse caps, t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, and a whole lot more. You can go to Tigers.com shop to get all the gear you need.
Top 7 now. The Tigers and Angels all knotted up. Justin Verlander hat day here at the ballpark, so the youngsters are sporting all the orange Verlander 35 hats.
And Brandon Inge playing awfully deep at third base. I remember you talking about Kendrick the other day in Toronto, bunted for a base hit late in the game. But it's hard to bunt hard throwers like Perry successfully for base hits. Guys just throw so hard. It's hard to wait and get the ball down where you need to get it down.
And it's 2-0. We talked about the walks that have been a problem for Perry. That's the last thing he wants to do here, facing the number 9 hitter Kendrick, who really has just been fighting it. He's 0 for 2 in this game, 3 for his last 26. 2-1. You got Figgins to follow, and then Bobby Abreu. We're in the 7th.
Yeah, if he walks him, you know what Figgins will be up there doing. He'll be up there sacrificing.
Here's the 2-1. Driven down the left field line. It's going to hook. Wow. Thing got out of the seats in a hurry. Kendrick has a little bit of pop. He has 4 homers this season. 2-2 the count. More action in the Tigers bullpen. Bobby C. Joel Zumaya. Flared foul back out of play. Howie Kendrick played junior college baseball and was in Florida and was scouted by Tom Kochman, who eventually signed him. Kochman, a longtime manager, scouting their system. Back up the middle, it's into center. It's a base hit. Go ahead runners on now for the Halos here in the 7th. So now we'll see if Figgins is indeed up there bunting.
If he is, more than likely he'll be trying to bunt the ball down toward Rayburn, who is not a first baseman by trade. Inge has no responsibility, so he could really crowd Figgins. And so if he does bunt, look for him to try to go down toward the first baseline.
Straight back to the screen, 0-1. Figgins has 4 sacrifices. Unsuccessful on that last pitch. Inch on the cut of the grass at third base. Runner going, and a line drive into center field, sinking, base hit. So they had the bunt out on the first pitch, and then Kendrick was on the run, and Figgins slaps it to center.
That's a nice job by Scioscia. He put the hit and run on. He's upset right now at Kendrick that he's not on third base, but that ball was hit on the line and kept right in front of Granderson. He may have thrown Kendrick out. But usually on this type of play, you're taught as a base runner, if the ball's hit on the line in the outfield, say Granderson catches this ball on the line, he's going to throw Kendrick out at first base anyway. So what they teach you as a base running coach is you may as well just keep going. If he looks to center field, if he catches it, you're still going to be out. And after sliding, there's no chance of him getting to third base.
Yeah, I think the slide right there is the whole issue. And maybe a bit of a break there for the Tigers. That's going to leave runners at first and second.
It didn't look like anybody was deking him as far as the shortstop or the second baseman.
Well, the lefty is due up.
It's been in. Earned run average a little north of 5, a little higher than he'd like to see it. But when most of your stints are just a couple of batters or one inning, it's tough to get your earned run average down. if you've had a few bad outings earlier in the season.
Well, C is warming up. What's happening down on the farm? Look at the record that West Michigan has put up so far in the Midwest League.
Good for them. That's outstanding. 34-20. Alex Avila doing a very nice job catching for the Erie Seawolves in Double-A. He was a fifth-round draft choice last year. Of course, he's the son of the Vice President, Al Avila. Vice President and General Manager, I should say.
Don Kelly having a good season down at AAA. He's been in the organization a couple of times. There's Al Avila.
A proud papa. It's good when your sons start to get their own paychecks.
You don't have to worry about them anymore, do you?
Get out of my pocket.
And potentially it could be a nice paycheck for Alex.
You got your own cash.
You say get out of my pocket?
Exactly.
Here's Abreu. 2 on and nobody out. We're in the 7th, all tied up. Abreu looks at a ball high, 1-0. Tigers hoping to get Bobby C turned around a bit. He was really good in the month of April. In fact, his ERA in April was 0.
Abreu came into this series hitting .292 against left-handed pitching. They usually don't bother him a lot. He's just been one of those guys that has a great eye, whether it's a left-hander or a right-hander. He still seems to get real good swings at the pitches he decides to swing at.
Double and a walk today for Abreu. Now the 1-1. Abreu came in at .409 hitting in this ballpark. And he's got a chance here to break this tie. The Tigers fell behind 3-0, led 4-3, and the Angels tied it up in the 6th. But trouble brewing here in the 7th. The 1-2. Again, that will go foul, back out of play. I'm talking about that crowd a little bit earlier. Nice crowd today of better than 32,000. 32074. Enjoying this one here this afternoon. Rain has stayed away. That's good. Temperature in the 70s. Zavia should be good to go down there. He's been warming up.
He's getting ready for Vladdy, who was in the on-deck circle.
In the air, left center field. Granderson on the run. Curtis almost to the warning track to haul this one in. Here comes a throw into second base. Kendrick will go to third. Figgins thought about moving up, but Granderson keeps him there.
It's a great job by Granderson in center field. First and foremost, he has to go a long way to get this ball, and then once he gets to it, he's already predetermined in his mind that Figgins is on first base, and he's got to get this ball into second base in a hurry, and he throws a one-hop strike to Polanco.
So C comes on to do his job. He gets the out, the left-hander. And Zamaya is going to check in for a heavy-duty matchup with Vlad Guerrero. And he comes sprinting in out of the bullpen. Zamaya got there in no time flat, and that's who's waiting for it. Vlad Guerrero.
It's unbelievable.
Check it, 9 innings, complete game.
Yeah.
Numbers on Zamaya.
They're eye-popping. 3 walks. 16 strikeouts in 17 innings.
So runners at first and third. Go ahead run at third base in a 4-4 tie. Guerrero has been relatively quiet in the series, just 2 for 10.
I don't expect Figgins to stay at first base very long. They do not want Vladimir to hit into a double play, so he might be off and running on the first or second pitch.
Swing and a miss, and Guerrero almost came out of his shoes.
100 miles an hour right out of his chute. Hello. That's a nice piece of cheese there. He didn't start his swing until the ball was in Laird's glove.
Bouncing ball hit to short. Looks like they're going to get the double play. 6-4-3. The double play ends the inning.
Outstanding job.
Zamaya comes in and gets the roller. Guerrero hits into the twin killing. And we stay tied. Clutch 2-out hits in this game.
Yeah, Brandon Inge got it started very early back in the first inning. Took a 2-2 pitch away from him and found some soft landing in right field to drive in a couple. And then apparently in the third inning, Saunders pitched around Laird to get to Everett. And Everett got the first pitch fastball, and he drove in a couple more. So Tigers doing a pretty nice job here today at driving in runs with 2 outs.
Well, what's going on with the Comerica game summary? There you go. Figgins and Rivera each homered in the first inning. The Inge and Everett 2-run hits big in this game. Cabrera had to leave in the 4th. And apparently after starting the game they didn't want to take any further chances with him. So Jose Arredondo is on now for the Angels.
He's got a power arm, and these numbers look nothing like the numbers that he was able to post last year. He's got a 5.09 earned run average. He does have power in that arm. 26 strikeouts in 10 walks. But the league is hitting .308 against him. They were talking about him being their closer about halfway through the year last year, when it became very apparent that they weren't going to re-sign Frankie Rodriguez. But Arredondo had a bad spring, and he's really hadn't hit his stride yet.
Nope, only 25 years old. Jose Arredondo is out of San Pedro de Macorís.
That's my spot.
Yes, it is.
I played there for 2 years. It was a lot of fun.
Well, Joel Samaya came on and got a huge double play from Vladimir Guerrero. And now the Tigers here in the bottom of the 7th have Cleat Thomas leading it off. Marcus Thames and then Brandon Inge. This one is up for grabs. 4-4 here in the 7th. Ball one outside from Arredondo. 10 wins last year, led all major league relievers. And he had an ERA of 1.62, which was second. 2-0 the count. Arredondo was a starter early in his minor league days. An A-ball then even into Double-A and then converted to the bullpen back in 07. That is lifted in the air, foul, back out of play. 52 appearances last year out of the Angels pen.
Well, he's largely responsible, as well as Scott Shields, at the back end of that bullpen for aiding Frankie Rodriguez, who went on to set a single season save record of 62. 57 was the old record set by Bobby Thigpen of the Chicago White Sox. But without Arredondo and Shields, and Rodriguez does not get that record.
3-2 on Cleat Thomas. It's in the shallow center field. Might it drop? No. Nice running play by Eric Ibar. He flags it down in short center.
There are not a lot of shortstops in the major leagues that run this ball down. Gives you an idea of how fast Ibar is. Look how far he has to run to get to it.
Here's Marcus Thames. 2 singles in his return to the lineup, plus a run scored. Marcus in his rehab appeared in 12 games and hit 2 homers, knocked in 6. Strike call in the outside corner. Now it's 0-2.
And Marcus had that remarkable stretch last year where he was homering just about every single day in the month of June. He can play some long ball. He's got serious power.
Something going on here with Jerry Crawford. He is leaving the playing field, and Kevin Rand is following him. I don't know if he's just not feeling good, but he just started walking off the field. Kevin Rand followed him down the tunnel. Temperature heating up today. It's 75. It's been a little bit humid, but nice otherwise. So while we await Jerry Crawford, we'll tell you that you can turn 2 with your wallet and save up to $29. It's the June double play. It gets you 2 upper box tickets for select games only for $39. 2 lower box seats for only $49. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Well, we're here in the 7th. We have a delay in the game, waiting on the home plate umpire Jerry Crawford, who just ran off the field. Well, tomorrow, Rod, starts a long week and a half of baseball for the Tigers. They are hoping to do some pretty good things on this road trip.
Well, hopefully their starting pitching can continue to pitch as well as it has pitched, because when you're going through a stretch where you're starting the road trip with a doubleheader in a very hostile environment, your bullpen can be taxed. And that the point, they got to prove to themselves that they can beat the White Sox in Chicago.
They do that because they just have not had a whole lot of success there. Big day for Jeremy Bonderman tomorrow. He'll start one of the games in the doubleheader. Not quite throwing as hard as he used to, but Bonderman says he'll become more of a complete pitcher these days now. And Thames stays alive, so the home plate umpire Jerry Crawford is back.
You know, that stretch I was talking about with Marcus Thames, it was a 10-game stretch in June where he had 8 hits, and all 8 of his hits were home runs.
Yeah,
he wasn't getting those singles. Everything he was hitting was going out of the ballpark.
They couldn't keep him in. Swing and a miss, and Arredondo strikes him out, 2 gone.
They started him off with a breaking ball, and that kind of set the tone for the remainder of the pitches that Marcus would see in that at bat against Arredondo.
So here's Brandon Inge with 2 outs. Inge had the 2-run single in the first. Tigers now have been out hit 8-7. That's low, 2-0. Brandon certainly has the power to leave the ballpark. And he drives one to second on a line caught by Howie Kendrick. 1-2-3 inning for Arredondo. So we'll go to the 8th. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Runs, 8 hits for the Angels, 4 runs, 7 hits for the Tigers. Joel Zumaya heads back to the mound in the final game in the series. The Tigers and Halos winding this thing up. They will go their separate ways. The Tigers, of course, into Chicago, and the Angels headed to St. Petersburg. Zumaya came out in the 7th, got a huge double play from Vladimir Guerrero. It'll be Morales, Rivera, and Matthews here in the 8th. Porcello started this game, left after 5+ innings, then Perry, and then Zumaya. Bobby C. also pitched. He got his 1 batter, Abreu. Now back to work in the 8th. Kendry Morales leads it off. Waves right through the first one. Zumaya throwing heat, 100 miles an hour. Apparently Joel feeling good today.
They played that music too when he came into the game today.
Voodoo Child?
Yeah.
I thought he changed it.
Yeah, they hadn't been playing that since he's been off the disabled list, but they played it today, and they had those flames running across these fancy scoreboard they have here too at Comerica Park.
Well, Joel said that he wanted to change his song because it's kind of a new beginning for him coming off the disabled list. But apparently it's back. 2-1. Morales had a double and scored what turned out to be the tying run in the 6th inning.
So the name of that group is Voodoo Child?
It's the name of the song, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, that's Hendrix?
Yeah. That is low and away. 3 balls and 1 strike.
He went way back in the archive to get that one.
Yes, he did. Jimmy could jam, though.
Oh, before his time.
Joel loves to jam. Here's the 3-1. Inside, and that is ball 4. So it's a leadoff walk to Morales.
Well, I don't know for sure. And we'll see, but I doubt if Rivera's up there bunting. If he is, he'll be scared to death.
As I would be.
He has none this year.
Go ahead run at first base. There's strike 1. He was kind of backing out of the batter's box. 0-1.
You can't afford to give Joel a strike.
Nope.
As hard as he throws.
By the way, you know how I know that Zumaya likes to jam?
No, how would you know that?
Spring training, my apartment was right above his.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He kept you up at night?
Just a little bit. That's outside 1-1.
Now, why didn't you go down there and jam with him?
Because I didn't know who it was. The next day, I walk out my door, and there's Zumaya standing next to his truck. I said, Joel, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm in this apartment here. I said, oh, great. I'm right above you. You were the one rattling my walls last night with the music. No, it wasn't too bad. 1-1 pitch. It's driven to the air to left. And Thomas will come in to make the play.
Now, I got to ask you. I mean, the first night when the music was jamming and the walls were moving, did you entertain the thought of going down there and knocking on the door to see who it was?
I did, but I didn't know who was down there, who'd be waiting for me. So I said, I'll just wait for the storm to pass. And eventually it did. Then I found out the next day it was Joel. 1 gone. Here is Gary Matthews. Matthews 0 for 3. And he takes a strike in the outer edge.
He is blowing some serious gas up there today. That last pitch at 101 with movement.
Threw that one by him at 99. Tailed away from him 0-2.
Well, it's always nice to think about Comcast when Joel comes in. Although the low that he's thrown as 95. 101.
That's some high octane Petro.
It's a big arm.
Driven down the right field line, hooking and foul.
That just goes to show you, though, in the big leagues, with a lot of big league hitters, if they are absolutely convinced that they're going to get a fastball after watching a couple of them, they can get out in front of it just like Matthews Jr. did right here. That pitch was at 101, and he hit it 340 feet to the pull field. That's why the breaking ball every now and then is a good pitch.
And there's one, but it missed high. Again, the hand-eye coordination that it takes to be able to pull 101 is just amazing to me. And the quickness. See what he comes back with here on 1-2. How about 102?
That is a nice piece of hitting right there by Junior. 102 outside and somehow gets a piece of it. I mean, that ball was headed right toward the target. Of course, Gary is the son of Sarge Matthews, Gary Matthews Sr., who played a number of years in the big league in Philadelphia, the Cubs, now broadcaster for the Philadelphia Phillies. And a good man. Great man, as a matter of fact.
Runner goes. Big jump, and it's fouled back.
I was looking at the numbers when Matthews first came up, and I noticed that Morales had no steals this year. But if you get a pitcher out there and you absolutely just forget about the base runner, even a guy like Morales can get a decent jump. And had that ball not been swung at, he would have stolen that base.
Maybe standing up. Meanwhile, 1-2 on Gary Matthews Jr. Swing and a miss.
Might have been a change piece.
Like it was. He was out in front of it.
How about that?
Broke that thing out.
Look at Joe. That's not fair. He's laughing. How about that pitch? 102 to 84 out of the same arm slot. Goodness gracious.
Joel did some strutting afterwards as well.
Joel, former starter before coming to the big leagues in 03, so he does have that changeup and that breaking ball, but since he came to the big leagues, he just really hadn't thrown those pitches too much, because when he usually comes into a game, it's in a pressured situation, and the last thing, if you're Joel, you're going to get beat with is your second or third best pitch. That's why he throws so many fastballs. But they've encouraged him to throw more of those this year.
And I would guess it'd be even tougher to throw those secondary pitches when your primary pitch breaks triple digits. Here's Ibar. He delivered the game-tying run back in the 6th with an RBI single. Morales led the inning off with a walk. Hasn't been able to move, though. Pulled in the air down the right field line. It is trouble. It is up against the wall and over the wall. A ground rule double and a huge break there for the Tigers.
We just got finished talking about it. Every now and then, if these guys know they're going to get that piece of cheese, even though the velocity is off the charts, they can still get to it. And they can pull it.
And fortunately, this one hopped over the wall. Otherwise, the Angels would have the lead.
Now he's thinking he hit that ball out of the ballpark. He was trying, or he thought it was foul. One of the two.
So Myceris Turris is going to pinch hit now for Mathis.
Another contact guy, not a big swinger. Just a guy that's going to try to put the ball in play.
Second and third with 2 outs. The Angels now have 9 hits. Here is his Turris. And they're not going to let him bat. They'll go after Kendrick in the on-deck circle. First base open.
This might be his first intentional base on balls of his life.
You going to go back that far back?
Hey. He ain't got many, I know that for sure.
Well, you know what? He's had one this year.
Oh, good. It must have been in the same situation like this.
One intentional walk. And this is the second. Here's ball 4. So as Turris is given a free pass. And now they'll deal with Kendrick here with the bases loaded. Kendrick is 1 for 3. Had a base hit in the 7th.
Well, obviously, there's no margin for error here. Bases are now loaded. So Joel must throw a strike, and he may want to throw a breaking ball in the first pitch. And because you know Kendrick is dialed in for that fastball. Nope.
103 miles an hour.
What did Joel eat for breakfast this morning?
I don't know. Here's the 1-0. It's high. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, now he's got to throw a strike.
Well, if I'm Kendrick, I'm taking one right here. That's just me.
Ooh, way high. 3-0. Zamaya one pitch away from giving the Angels the lead here. He'll be taking here, and right down the middle it comes. 3-1. He's got to do it again. Take another one if you can.
Nah, I'd swing. If I got a fastball right down the middle, I'm letting it go right now.
Lawson, ball four. A bases loaded walk, so the intentional walk to his Turris set up the bases loaded situation, and Kendrick walks. It's 3 walks now for Joel in the inning. He started the frame by walking Morales. Angels have a 5-4 lead. And now the top of the order, Sean Figgins. Strike one. Home run back in the first inning for Figgins. 2 hits today. Fouled to straight back. 0-2. Angels have come back to take the lead they had in the first inning when they went up 3-0. Tigers have led a good portion of this day. They came back to take a 4-3 edge in the third before the Angels tied it up, and now they've gone ahead on a bases loaded walk to the number 9 hitter. And it was a number 9 hitter that was 4 for his previous 27. Crowd trying to help Zamaya out here. 1-2 on Sean Figgins. Ground ball scooped at first base by Rayburn. He'll win the race to the backside. Retired. Angels leave him loaded but break the tie. 5-4. We go to the bottom of the 8th, and Rayburn will lead it off. America Bank standing the test of time since 1849. Tigers will need a comeback in this one. They are down by a run now, 5-4 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. They've been out hit 9-7, and Rayburn leads it off, showing bunt against Jose Arredondo.
It's a good idea. And Figgins at third was about 5 feet in back of that third base bag. And if you get it down, you pretty good chance of getting yourself a base hit.
1 ball, 1 strike. Mike Napoli is your new catcher. Mathis was pinch hit for. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss.
Backup slider there. And that particular pitch kind of ties up the right-handed hitters. You see the breaking ball of the hand, and you anticipate that ball being away, but it backs up inside. It's an effective pitch on occasion.
2-2. Arredondo came on in the 7th, had a little trouble with the Tigers. He got him 1-2-3 with a strikeout as well. Rayburn followed by Laird and then Everett here in the 8th. Low, 3-2. Arredondo trying to avoid walking the tying run on here. 3-2 pitch, and he has done just that. Ball 4. First base runner they've had against Arredondo.
We'll see if we can get our guy to come around and touch home plate. Zamaya Walker Morales, the leadoff hitter in the top half of this frame, and he eventually scored.
Question is Laird bunting here?
That's a good question. I don't think so, but we'll see.
I don't either. And Figgins is in a couple of steps at third. Gerald has walked twice and has a single.
It's not like Jim hasn't used Laird to bunt in the past.
He is bunting. First base side. And it works. The runner moves up. Sacrifice for Laird. Push the tying run in scoring position. And set up Adam Everett.
It's a second sacrifice bunt for Gerald Laird.
You know, the Tigers haven't hit 1 home run on this whole homestand.
Not 1 home run?
Granderson in Baltimore was their last homer. That's going to get away from Napoli, but not far enough. 1 ball, no strikes on Everett. Big 2-run single in the 3rd, and that gave the Tigers a 4-3 lead at that point. Everett now with 20 driven in. It also broke an 0 for 12 for Adam. Base hit here could tie this game up. Arredondo rides it inside, 2-0.
Well, he should get a really good pitch to hit right here. 2 balls and no strikes. You know that Arredondo does not want to walk you. And this is as a hitter where you look for 1 pitch in 1 spot. And if you get it, let it go.
3-0. It's certainly not going to get any easier. They've got Granderson waiting on deck. There is some action in the Angels bullpen.
Looks like just expired.
Oh, he almost hit him. That is ball 4, and the Tigers now have 2 walks and 2 men on.
They may have to go get him.
That is Bulger, Jason Bulger. Bulger came on to pitch in last night's ball game. That is the first runner in scoring position since Cabrera back in the 3rd for Detroit. And Socha has made the signal to the bullpen, so Arredondo is out after 2 walks here in the 8th. Step aside, pitching change here in Detroit.
weekday night doubleheader in Chicago against the White Sox. Coverage 1 begins just prior to the first pitch at 2 p.m. Coverage of the nightcap begins with Tigers Live at 7:30. It's a double dose of Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire tomorrow on Fox Sports Detroit.
Those dreaded White Sox. The Tigers hoping to play a lot better against the Sox coming up in this 5-game stretch because it's going to be critical.
Well, they have not played very well against them. That as much is true.
White Sox are losing again today, 8-3.
That White Sox team has not hit the baseball very well this year. As a matter of fact, they are struggling to hit the baseball in their hitter-friendly ballpark.
Numbers on Jason Bulger.
So Tigers might be catching them at the right time.
Here's Granderson now with 2 men on. Way high, 1-0.
Well, here you go, Curtis. Here comes your fastball.
One ball, one strike. Walks to Rayburn and Everett here in the 8th. Tigers have a tying run in scoring position. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Jason Bulger. An inning in the ball game yesterday with 2 strikeouts. He gave up a hit. The rally caps are out. Outside, 3-1 on Granderson. Well, the bullpen numbers are in the Tigers' favor here. The highest earned run average of any bullpen in the American League belongs to the Angels. Here's the 3-1. Outside, he lost him. Ball 4 to load the bases. Walks in the inning, and the Tigers have walked 8 times in this game. Mike Butcher is out. Talk a little strategy here with the bases loaded. Polanco stepping in. In a 1-run game, the Tigers now have the go-ahead run at second base. And Polanco walking a single in this game. There's a rally fedora. That's a sweet looking lid.
That is a sweet lid.
Let's see if it works. Got a little feather on the side. Old English Steve right up front.
Yeah, he's got his beard all trimmed up real nice.
Well, here's Polanco now with the bases loaded. Rally visors as well. Tigers maybe a base hit away from regaining the lead here. And he popped him up, sailing back to the seats out of play. 5 or 6 rows back, 0-1 on Polanco.
Take a look at all the room that Polanco has in this direction. Gary Matthews Jr., the center fielder, is playing him about 7-8 steps over in the right center field. If somehow, some way, he can just hit one in that area in left center field, Granderson would score.
Look out, that ball sails inside. 1-1 on Placido. 313 career with the bases loaded. Rayburn, the runner at third base. Everett at second. Granderson at first. And the heat is on Bulger. Down the right field line, slicing back out of play. 1-2. Again, the Tigers, with the bases loaded this year, have been really good. Tigers have not scored since getting 2 in the 3rd. Big time threat going here, though. Little looper that's going to go foul. So Polanco battling. Trying to get something he can drive here. So Maya gave up the run in the top of the inning. On a bases loaded walk. That is in the air to shallow center. Matthews measures it. Rayburn tags. They're going to try and score him. No, they're not. He's going to head back. Oh, and the ball gets away from Napoli. Here comes Rayburn, and he is safe at home plate. And the Tigers have tied it up. It caromed off the glove on the throw in from the center fielder, and Rayburn heads up, scores.
More than likely, Morales, who was a cutoff man in that situation, will get the air. Gary Matthews Jr. came up and fired the ball aggressively toward home plate. Morales got over to try to cut it off. Trickled off his glove. Napoli had to retrieve it. By the time Napoli got there, diving to get the ball in his glove, Rayburn with a heads-up play, able to score with a tremendous slide.
There's the carom right there. And the slide here by Rayburn just got him in. Outstanding play. 5-5 game, and now the Tigers have an opportunity to take the lead here with 2 outs. Runners at first and third for Maglio. Ball 1. Ordonez takes outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Each team with a run here in the 8th. The walks have been a big part of the inning, really, for both sides. 3 walks for the Tigers in this inning. Good pitch. I believe Maglio was sitting dead red right there. 2 outs, men in scoring position. 360 clip for Maglio. He can shoot one to right field here, get another run in. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes on Ordonez. And another breaking ball high, and now it's 3-2. Clete Thomas waiting on deck. It would have been Cabrera, but they had to take him out of the game earlier after a couple of at-bats. Runner going on 3-2. It's ball 4. It's another walk. 9 of them now for Angels pitching. 9 walks. It's the 4th in this inning.
It's kind of like the Tigers game the Tigers had a couple of days ago when they walked 9.
And so far, 3 of the 9 have come around to score. So it's going to be Clete Thomas here. 0-1. The heat is starting to rise now for Bulger.
Gene Lamont just called Thomas down to third base. And don't know exactly what he's going to say to him, but he may be telling him to take one. We'll see. It wouldn't be all bad. And the worst thing that could happen to count 1-1.
He was swinging, though. 1 ball and 1 strike. Action in their bullpen there is Justin Spire. Driven in the air, deep left field. Rivera turns, it's gone! It's a grand slam for Cleat Thomas. A line drive home run to left, and the Tigers take the lead. Are out to left for Cleat. And that has energized this entire park and that dugout. 9-5 Detroit. And they're calling for Cleat. They want him to come out.
Cleat doesn't want to come out there.
Someone's going to have to push him out.
They're going to have to push him out there. He's like, what? No, not me.
Come on, Cleat. There's a high fly ball into shallow left. And Rivera waiting for it to fall, and that is that. But a big inning for the Tigers. Grand slam for Cleat Thomas. And Zamaya loving it. Let's go to the ninth. With our AT Rapid Rewind. That was fast. The AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. That's a rapid rewind. It was indeed as fast as it ever was.
Oh, boy.
All right, here we go to the ninth inning. It is 9-5. Tigers have the lead in the grand slam home run by Clete Thomas. Fernando Rodney is into this one now.
Meanwhile, he never came out for his curtain call, but he got one when he ran to left field. Good for him.
Yeah, he deserved it. Clete actually has moved to right. Anderson is in the game now to play left. Maglio is out of the game. What a feeling for Clete Thomas. Tigers were looking for a 2-out hit, and Clete provided as you look at the numbers on Rodney.
Just about all the runs the Tigers have scored today have been with 2 outs. As a matter of fact, every single run they've scored. No, I shouldn't say that, because that grand slam, obviously the big blow with 2 outs, but the majority of their runs today with 2 outs.
Bobby Abreu is leading it off. There's your new outfield alignment. Anderson, Granderson, and Thomas left, center to right. 2-1 pitch. Change up. 2-2.
This would be a very nice win for the team going into Chicago.
Wouldn't it, though? 5 games coming up there in 4 days.
And you were just talking about the fact that they had not hit a home run on this homestand.
That's right. That is their first.
I like the way you use that psychology there to get things done every now and then.
I had it all planned out. It just never works until that time. Thomas delivering. 3-2 pitch. On the ground to first base. And Rodney covers, one gone.
Clete took an aggressive swing on a 1-0 fastball from Bolger and swung right through it. And he got the same exact pitch, 1-1. He didn't try to do a whole lot with it. That ball traveling deep in the strike zone. Good, strong, firm lower half. And he hit the ball a ton the opposite way. And look at Zumi. Don't hurt nobody, young man.
Check this out. Clete's already had 1 surgery on that elbow. There's a strike on Guerrero, who doesn't like to call. Vladimir batting here with an 0 for 4 going. And 2 for 11 in the series. The 0-1. Two balls, 1 strike on Guerrero, who hit into a huge double play back in the 7th. Angels had runners at first and third, 1 out, and Zamaya got the double play, kept them off the board. Big inning here, though. The 5-run 8th for Detroit. They have scored 9 in this game. Checked it inside, 3-1. Ground ball back up the middle, going to get through. Guerrero lumbers down to first base with a 1-out single. And the Angels now have 10 hits. Here's Kendry Morales. Morales today has been on base twice, double and a walk, and he has scored twice. 9-5 Detroit. There's a strike call. Morales, of course, had that ball tip off his glove.
He sure did.
Throw in from center field, allowing Rayburn to score. Otherwise, who knows what happens in that inning. Rayburn with that great head first slide at home plate. Runner going, they'll give him second base with no throw, so Vladimir with the easiest stolen base of his career.
You agree with that ruling as a stolen base there?
Well, that probably was defensive indifference there. Yeah, that was defensive indifference, so I take it back. There's a ground ball hit to short. Ranging right is Everett. And that is out number 2.
Had the Tigers not had such a big lead, Everett would have gotten Vladimir Guerrero out here at third base. But he said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take the out at first, even though Vladimir should not have tried to get to third on this particular ground ball. It's a smart heads-up play by Everett. Why force the issue? We got 4-run leads.
Well, they're down to 1 out. And it is Juan Rivera. Crowd coming to its feet. And he grounds it foul. Big day early on for Rivera. 2-run homer in the first, a double in the fourth. Nothing since. One more out together. The Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Angels. It'll be their 30th win of the year. That is popped up. Foul ground. Inge may have room. Coming to the dugout. Go on top of the dugout. Back out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. $32,074 on a warm afternoon here in the Motor City. Temperature up to 77 now. It's been a great day here, and we're 1 strike away from putting this one in the win column. Way high, 1-2. Tigers would be 30-25 with a victory here today. In the air, left field, and hit well. Anderson on the run, still going back. He's not going to get it. Base of the wall to score a run. And it's the 3rd hit of the game for Juan Rivera, who says not so fast. It is now 9-6.
He's had a nice day. He's had a really nice day.
3 extra base hits. Comes Rick Knapp. Three RBIs as well for Mr. Rivera. Well, they're going to have to deal with Gary Matthews Jr., but not before Rick Knapp spends some time. That breakdown we have showed you in the past. Save situations compared to non-save. The numbers are striking.
Yes, they are. When there's something on the line for whatever reason, he gets her done. But when there is not a save on the line, numbers way too high.
So with 2 outs now, here is Matthews and a runner at second base. If he gets out, they would bring the tying run to the plate, albeit Eric Ibar, who is waiting on deck.
They still got Torrey Hunter.
True.
On their bench.
0-1 on Matthews. Foul back out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. All right, so again, the Tigers back within a strike, closing this one down. The 0-2. Matthews has fanned at his last 2 at-bats. He's working on an 0 for 4 day today. And the 1-2 pitch way outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fernando came on with one out. He gave up the single to Guerrero, who took second without a throw. Bounce out advanced him to third, then a double by Rivera. Rodney trying to keep this thing from getting any more interesting. Here's the 2-2. Popped him up. Should do it. Everett calling everybody away. And the Tigers win 2 out of 3. Big win here for Detroit. A comeback win. The big grand slam for Clete Thomas. The big hit. But this nice little piece of momentum going into Chicago.
You know, they played with the